good news is Corel had an auto backup and saved our work very close to where we actually had that crash there. If I zoom in here and take a look, I can see I'm very close to where I was, where I left off. So fortunately, we had a save set up, an auto backup that saved our work. I had my own backups also, but when you're working at this level in any graphics application, and I'm not going to edit that crash out because you want to keep in mind you got to keep saving, because when you're pushing the envelope like we're doing in this particular session, any application can crash. I've been working Illustrator at this level and had it crash, Photoshop less, but Corel and Illustrator, when you start tossing around vector files like this, they tend to crash a bit. Anyway, we're kind of back where we were here. I want to go ahead and go back to what we were working on here, so we'll go ahead and finish that up. We'll go back to our artistic media tool here. I want to make sure I get to my destroyed watercolor. I'm back on Draw, so I need to go to my desktop and back to brushes here. Go to my destroyed watercolor brushes and go ahead and click on that. I've got to go ahead and make sure I've got the same brush set up again here. I want to click off, create a stroke here. That's actually an abstract brush there. That's not what I want. I want to make sure I've got the same stroke that I was working with last time, which was kind of destroyed and had some effects built into it. And I believe it would be this stroke right here. We'll change the size a little bit and take a look at that. And if it wasn't exactly that, that one's close enough. Bring that down in size, and I'll go ahead and start drawing in here again and swooping everything back in here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. As I recall, I had some effect going up into here with this going the wrong way here. I want to come in like that there, and the same there, some of that effect. Now, I knew I was too hard here around the outside, and I really want to flow into this whole set of design area, into the what's going on with my chiseled stone here. So I'm going to want to bring these hard edged out, get my brush here, and see if I go this way, that'll be good. I can go that way and I'll still get what I'm looking for. We'll start just flowing in here back into our skull with these effects coming off of this brush stroke. And I want to kind of make this darker as it goes down into, and I'll go down in here along the wing a little bit. Control Z, Control Z. I'm going to make my brush stroke smaller down in there and just kind of flow in with the wings a little bit. Not a lot, just enough to offset, create some area for some effects back here along the design. I'll play off this and come right up into there, and that's going the wrong way, so I want to come right in here and come back this way, just with a little bit more of that effect built in there. I want a little bit smaller of a brush so I can build in some more detail here off of that swoosh that I'm going to have coming back in this way. Really different look going on here, creating all of this brush look stuff here. And then I'm just going to bring in some more effect in along here, into some of these other areas where I want to have it nice and dark. Bring this here, do the same here, play off these wings down here just a little bit with this effect, as we can see there. Now, having all of that set up, I'm going to go ahead and lasso everything here again. I'll go back to simple steps, create a color palette, everything that's blue based on fills, select objects, and I got 99 objects. We actually have more brush strokes now. What I'm going to do is just kind of move this over, and I just lost that, clicked on the wrong area. Put that back, we'll go back to simple steps again, want to lasso everything again, and select all objects, 99 again. Want to make sure that our cursor is changed. We start moving. I'm going to use my mouse here, a little bit less control with the pen, and just left click, hold down, move all of that. And what I'll do is, before I copy and paste that, I'll convert that to a bitmap. So I'll go fill that with a black bitmap, convert to bitmap, transparent background, very important. Grayscale is all I'm going to need. ICC profiles I don't need. Select OK and process that. Hit Control Z and go ahead here. And what happened there is something I just found out. When I moved that I moved those objects, did the color selection with simple steps, but that moved just the graphic objects. It didn't move the wireframes associated with the brushes. So here's an issue we found between brushes and simple steps during the complexity of this. But I'll hit Control Z and go back, and that's probably why we had to crash in Corel. So that's not how I'm going to want to select those. So I'll just come through here, lasso, everything. Hopefully I'm going to get just the blue. And I got lucky, I got just the blue. Now if I cut that, let Corel process that, insert, go to page after. So I can change colors with simple steps, but if I select the colors on brushes with simple steps, it's grabbing only the colors, and the wireframes of the vector don't have that color associated with them. They're not blue, they're a different color. Simple steps goes into the brush, grabs the colors, and I move that. I've got my vector objects that are set up on the wireframes in a different place. Interesting. Anyway, insert page after, and go ahead and paste that in now. Fill that with a black. Bitmaps, convert to bitmaps, grayscale, 8-bit, anti-aliasing, etc. Transparency, and now we're all set. Now we'll go to bitmaps, blur, Gaussian blur, preview that at 5 pixels. Is that as soft as I want it? I might want it even softer. Preview at 10 pixels. I want a really cloudy, soft looking effect going on with that. And actually that should be okay. Go to my Fashion Factory. And we'll come down to our textures. And I'm going to go with that Psycho texture just because I like that. And we'll come down through here. A lot of different textures in here, but Psycho halftone Mambo applies transparency. Go ahead and minimize. Really cool effect going on there. And what I'm going to do is I'll take this, go to my transparency tool, and I'm going to take this effect and just kind of resize it a little bit. Get some more of that in here. And you get really good control of these effects in Draw. I mean, I can take this and reshape it and move it any way I want it to be, but I can see I can also twist it out like this and rotate it, skew it, do whatever I want to do with this effect in Draw. But I really want to kind of be going into what's going on with the flow of my brushes. Something like that right there. Then I'll take this bitmap, convert to bitmap, grayscale again, transparency because I'm going for a monochrome. Bitmap, mode, black and white. And you can see we can't see anything here, but that's because we're going to convert to a monochrome. Select OK. I'm going to knock my background color out with a left click, change my foreground color to white. With a right click, copy this, go back to page 1, paste that in, right click, order, select in front of, click on my gray, go to another layer, that's fine. And we've got a really cool effect there. Now I'm going to paste that again and double that up to get more color in there, more white. Right click, order, in front of, that's okay, and some nice touched off effect in there. Now if I was doing this on a white t-shirt, I could take a look at that effect as being a black, and you can see that looks really cool, nice shaded artistic look with an effect in it going down through on the side of the design. Change this back to a black. You can also see that I could take that white that's in the background, I could move this, offset it just a bit, and that's being filled with the black, the background's being filled with the white, change these colors, and start to get some really insane effect with something like that blue in there. And this will all have spot color properties. So what we've got is a totally off the wall effect with really cool color management properties built right into it. Or if this was going on, say, a blue t-shirt, I could see how that would look with that white just faded out in there. I probably want to add more of it, but I can click on this, change this to, say, a darker blue, and start to get just really insane effects going on based on these effects with the monochromes and the color. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that, and I'm going to take this over here, bring it over to the other side, and mirror that, duplicate it, and line it up on the other skull. So it's matching the effect that's going on with the other side. I'll take these two here, and I'm just going to group these. That'll bring them both to the front so I can start to work with them. I'm going to fill them with a black just for now so I can see where the effects are going, how they're working out, and how I want to bring them in and position them so they'll be pretty much identical. Now I'm going to copy and paste several times until I get a little bit darker, because I want to darken that up quite a bit. Now I've got that set up. That's about as dark as I want it to be. I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt because I know there's 3 of these, and I'll select multiple objects. I've got the top one selected, holding down Shift and Alt, left click one time, 2 objects selected, one more time. You can see in the status bar 3 objects selected. Right click, order, go to in front of, click on my blue here. Okay, that's another layer. That's fine. I'll group these, and that sent that back to the front. Order, in front of. Okay, another layer, that's fine. There's my black setup. Right click, change that to a white, and there's my effect set up with all the effects going on. So I've got some nice distressed brush and stuff going on along the sides. Here with my logo, I could just change that to a black or a white. We'll go with a dark gray t-shirt here and see what this is going to look like. Change my logo to a solid white here. And here's basically our design setup. Now I probably want to do some more things going down through the center of the design. I'm trying to think what I might want to do there. Maybe I want to come down through there and spin some barbed wire coming through there. And actually we'll take a look at how that would look coming down through there. But at this point, because I've accomplished that, I'm going to go ahead and save again. And I want to go to my desktop. Even though this is coming off a backup, I'll replace that file, skull setup, and we'll go ahead and save that. Well, actually, I don't want to be skull setup. I want to be a flick tooth, and save that, yes, because I don't want to overwrite my skull. Now you could really start to go a long ways with this, because I could take my skull graphics and literally take those apart in photo paint and start to make them look really depart from vector and go absolutely hand drawn. So you'd have no idea that we even started with vector here. I'm going to go back here, I'll go to my brushes, I'm going to go to barbed wire, select OK, and I'm just going to bring some barbed wire spindles down here through the center. So I'm going to create one stroke here, I'm going to come in here and take a look at some different barbed wire. And I probably want something that's got some highlighting with it. Looking at this one, if I change the size of that, that's kind of off the wall, and I can take this barbed wire. I'm going to start coming off of the thorns here, coming out from behind the skull there, and I'll just pull that right down through there. Now I can see that I've got shortness here, so I'm going to hit Control Z and then come in through here and just kind of blow that barbed wire right into there, as you can see there. Now looking at that, it's really dark, you can't really see it popping off of the design the way you want it to, so I'm going to look at some different barbed wire strokes here coming down through here. Something that might be a little bit smaller, something like that, which will come down in through there, but looking at that, that's not really what I want. Take a look at, I've got 3 strands of barbed wire there. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. There's 3 strands of barbed wire in that effect, and I've got a bunch of different barbed wire brushes here for doing different things. And that effect is nice and thick, but it might be too much zooming out. I'm going to bring that down in size. Let's see how that looks. I actually like that one. It's nice and heavy and thick, and it's got some effect to it. So what I'll do is I'll take my brush tool at that size and just start to spindle down through here with some barbed wire effects coming off of this, down the center of the design, and then bring it down in here like a tail and let them meet down here and spindle together at the bottom of the design, something like that. And we've got 2 coming here and 2 coming there. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this one and get my pick tool here, double click this, get this node here and bring this up in here just so it matches matches kind of what's going on with the other one. Now, having that barbed wire effect coming down through the middle, what I'm going to want to do is lasso all that barbed wire. So I'll just come down across the bottom, make sure I don't have anything selected. See if we got all of it. Control Z, and we did get all of it. Now I'm going to give this a white outline and put it in front of the monochrome. So I'm going to go ahead and copy here to offset it so that we can see it in the graphic. So once that's set up, I'm going to come over here to my properties bar, click on this, my object properties docker, excuse me. Give this a 3mm scale behind fill, scale with image, and we'll change this to white. And I'll fill this with white, and I'm just going to use that to offset what's going on with my barbed wire, and we'll paste in here so that there's something that'll help us see the barbed wire and help that pop off of the design. Now you can see that fits in the barbed wire just fine. I'm going to go ahead and cut that barbed wire again. Actually, I want to get back to where I've got all that selected, so I'm going to hit Control Z and get back to where I've got all that selected. I'm going to change this to a 2mm white outline and fill this with white. I'm going to go bitmap, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to convert this to a bitmap grayscale. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a monochrome here, so I'll fill this with black, outline this with black, bitmap, convert to bitmap, grayscale, transparent background, that's fine. Bitmap, blur, Gaussian blur, make sure you got a transparent background. I'll bring this up here and preview here and see how that looks. I'm going to bring that blur out even more. Okay, so it'll be like almost like a lightning effect with the blur. Bitmap, mode, black and white. Okay. Left click to knock out your background, right click to change the foreground color, and then paste my barbed wire back in. And then I'll hold down Shift and click that monochrome bitmap, select group, right click on that, select order, go to in front of, and I think I want to click right here on my chiseled stone. Can't move it in front of itself. So I'm going to go here and click on my gray, another layer that's going to go to, but that's fine. I could leave that like you see it there, but I don't know if I want to leave it there or do I want to bring it back into my chiseled stone. Not really sure about that. And do I want to add some effect to that kind of highlight that I put in there? And I think I might want to do that. So I'm going to hit Control Z, go back to where I was a grayscale. You can see I'm still a monochrome here. I'm going to go back to my grayscale. I want to go to my Fashion Factory. I'm going to process, I'm going to paste and process a save just because I don't want to lose this at this point. And I'll save here and let that process. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that barbed wire again. Take this, I'm going to go back to my Fashion Factory and put the same apply as transparency, and I want to select that there. Make sure I got that grayscale. Yep, apply as transparency. And now that's just starting to look totally insane. But anyway, that being set up that way, I want to go to my transparency tool and just make some adjustments to that. Make that just a little bit smaller, maybe spin that around and see how much of that effect we can get or can't get. And I'm going to want quite a bit of that right there. And I'll go ahead and move this around until I get where I think I need to be, and that'll be good right there. Then again, bitmaps, convert to bitmap, transparent background, grayscale, bitmap, mode, black and white, okay, left click to knock out the background, right click to change the foreground. Now, this is starting to look totally off the wall. Go ahead and paste this in here, which is my barbed wires again, and they got nice detail, but I'm going to delete that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and paste that again. Control V for paste that again. I'm going to hit my Shift key and select the monochrome. I'm going to cut and go back to page 2 and make that a little bit darker. And group everything there. So I'm going to go back to page 2, paste in. Now I know that that monochrome's back there. I'm just going to go ahead and click on that, change that to a black, copy that, paste that in again. Right click on that, order, go to back of page, and I'm just sending that monochrome to the back of the page. I want to click, I've got this is from before here. I've got this, I want to hold down Shift and Alt, 2 objects selected, change that to white, group those, select everything here, group this, copy this, go back to page 1, and then paste in here. And that's just totally off the wall. Anyway, I'm going to right click on this and I'll click order and I'll go in front of, and I'm going to select this monochrome in the back, select OK, and now that barbed wire is going on behind the chiseled stone. Now if I wanted to, I can see where my center arm is here, and I can click this from the center, right click, order, select in front of, and click on my chiseled stone here. That'll move that. I can see what that's going to look like on front of my chiseled stone. So what I've got is chiseled stone behind the barbed wire, then chiseled stone on top of the barbed wire. So I've added some real depth to this design. There's a lot of effects going on. You've got barbed wire, thorns, skulls, feathers, all this MMA look with a lot of effects going on, working with brushes and working with our Fashion Factory and monochrome effects. Now, if we look at this design, you can see that here, had I not been doing the step-by-step in the video, probably within 30 minutes to half an hour, I'd have an off-the-wall design set up. Now, what I can do at this point is take all of this that I've got set up here and start to tweak it. Now, I want to take this A logo that I've got set up here at the top, and I want to put some effects on that. The first thing I want to do with that is I'm going to take this, go to my pen tool, give that a 3mm outline behind fill, and we'll go ahead and round our corners and end caps and have that set up like that. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to start applying some effects to it. And I want to put some effects around the outline just to bring it out and pop it and have it match with the rest of the design and roughen it up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this over here, as you can see there. And all I'm going to do for putting an effect on this, I'm going to go to my Fashion Factory. I'm going to go to Prep Effects, and I'll probably go with something like, I want some heavy effects, but not too heavy. I'll probably go with, how big is this set up now? This is set up at 2 inches wide. Working with the Fashion Factory, I'm going to want this quite a bit bigger. And I'm also going to process a save here. And that'll take just a minute. I've got this about 4 inches wide. I just want to put some effect on the outline. And we'll take that and we'll just go apply, and we'll let Fashion Factory pop that effect on the outline of our logo here. Now we can see we just had a failed to load pattern error. I'm going to select OK, and what I'm dealing with here is an installation coming off of the Fashion Factory. I want to try a different effect here, or it could be there's just too much going on in Corel. I want to apply this. And actually, I just set up this trainer account, and I might have accidentally installed one of the test versions of Fashion Factory, because I know the one that's on the site, everything works perfectly. So this is kind of distressed up just a little bit here. I can take this with no outline, and I'll bring this up here. And what I want to do is go to View Wireframe, just so I can line these back up and get this outline set up so it's centered around the outside of my logo there in the white. Doesn't need to be perfect because we're dealing with stress and grunge, and that'll be fine there. I'm going to go ahead and delete this logo, and I don't want to move that background. Hit Control Z, go to View, Enhance, we've got this outline kind of distressed up a bit here. I want to go ahead and select this, bring this over to my design, resize it, and bring this right back in here. Bring my size down so it fits back in with my logo setup. And I just didn't want to have a really hard edge vector sitting there at the top of all this distress and grunge and artistic look, as you can see there. So there's our A logo, and I can right click and change that to white also, and then we can take a zoom in here and take a look at that. And it's kind of offset a little bit, makes it look embossed a little bit there, and that will be, do I want that or do I want black, or I could use like a gray. I want to right click, not left click there. Do I want that or do I want black? Zooming in there, looking at that being a black, that'll be fine for now. Now I can change this to a black background. I just want to see how this design looks on a black t-shirt, and that looks just totally off the wall. Well, at this point I'd call this a wrap. I might want to actually take the Indians, open those up in photo paint, do some shading and stuff, and really turn this into a hand-drawn look. Probably take me about another hour to do that, if I wanted to do that, and perhaps I'll do that in yet another session. But you can see here how we can create these incredibly high detailed designs working in Corel Draw, similar to what we're seeing being real popular in the market here. You'd look at these and say, oh, these are impossible, I could never do these, but the fact is, once you learn these brushes, if you've got the right tools, you can create these looks fairly easily. And this would really be a one-color design, just a white you could set it up as, and you set this up to go on a t-shirt, and your clients are just going to be completely blown away, especially your high schools and so forth. I mean, if I take all of this here and we'll go ahead and group this, go to our Fashion Factory, and we'll go to our comps, and I'll just key my way down through here into the men's comps, and I'll take a look at this setup on an actual comp, and I'll bring in full back comp here. I mean, if you want to land some clients, this would be the way to do it. You walk in with some designs like this, you know, and your potential customer's been buying the same old stuff from the guy down the street that's just got the vector setups. You just walk in with his t-shirt set up like this and say, you know, I can print some of these for you. Boy, you know, 9 times out of 10, if you're dealing with the right businesses, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but a lot of the time you're going to walk out of that business with an order in hand, just because they're looking at the artistic nature of the designs and saying, wow, I just love that set up with my business logo like that. And there's your design set up on a comp. So go ahead and wrap here. Long tutorial, a lot of stuff covered, but I did want to really go ahead and set this up and show you just exactly how, even though we had to work through some issues because we're really pushing the envelope with Corel. And as I said, be it Corel, Illustrator, Photoshop, any other application, you start pushing stuff around like this, you're going to have some things to work through because you got some real high-end stuff. Now, obviously working with the brushes, we're not always going to be doing this really high-end stuff. You can obviously come in here and start setting up, you know, nice little effects as we got in the tutorial series on advancedtshirts.com, customizing your sports designs and stuff and getting parts of these looks into these designs. Even if you don't go to this level, but you go to a part of it or just adding pieces of this look to the designs you're taking to the high schools and the coaches, they're going to be really impressed with it, and it's really going to help you grow your business. So go ahead and wrap here. Thank you for taking time to view this tutorial. Go ahead, get on the site, download your art pack, and get into the tutorial section on the Corel brushes, and you'll be able to work with this stuff and set this stuff up very effectively in Corel Draw.